This episode of Collin Votes is sponsored by Reverend Irvin Barrett for Collin County Justice of the Peace 3. For more information, you can check out Reverend Barrett on Facebook, or you can email the campaign at ilb4jp3@gmail.com. Stay tuned for more updates as we continue our Meet the Candidates series. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Collin Votes. I'm your host, Shauna Monahan. I'm with Jeff Williams, candidate for Collin County Commissioner in Precinct 4. And our featured guest today is the Reverend Irvin Barrett, candidate for Justice of the Peace 3 in Collin County.
Yes, hi.
How are you, sir?
Wonderful, doing fantastic.
Welcome.
Excited about being here. Thanks so much for the invite.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We were looking forward to it.
Awesome.
I'm glad to have somebody besides just us two.
Yeah.
Yeah, she'll get tired of me eventually, if not already.
I want to hear about what other people are doing.
Yes.
All right.
No, I do too.
Yeah. So we're so glad to have you here.
Thank
you. Yeah, and to learn a little bit about your campaign. Can you tell us a little bit about just yourself? You're a reverend?
Yeah, I'm a pastor. I'm a reverend. I've been a pastor for over 30 years, and I've been a minister for almost 36 years now, I believe. So hope I don't look like it, though. I'm still consider myself fairly young.
Time flies when you're having fun.
It does. It truly does.
You look like you can be in the pulpit for a while there, sir.
Good deal. That's good to know. So yeah, it's been my life mission, my lifelong mission to lead and to share, give back to the community. And so I've been doing that a long time. My father was actually a pastor many years ago, and I have many ministers throughout my family. So ministry has been something that we've done. Community service has been something that we've been involved in for a long time.
Family business.
Family business, yeah.
Where's your church?
My church is actually in Beaumont, Texas.
Oh, all right.
So I commute to my church. I came to Texas back in 2008 to pastor the church, and been there since that time. But now I'm living and residing here in Allen, and I commute to the church on the weekends. Long commute, but yeah, that's what I do on the weekends.
Yeah, we were talking about that. That's extraordinary.
Yeah. I guess you can look at it as being committed to the job.
I guess so, yeah. Labor of love for that, yeah.
For sure.
Well,
for
Allen
sure.
is a nice area, though, so I kind of get it, I suppose.
Yeah.
Where
Most
were you
definitely.
before?
I was in Chicago. I was born and raised in Chicago.
Oh, that's right. You went to the Baptist Institute there.
Yes.
Oh.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
Awesome. Wow. Okay, great. So what do you think of the kind of North Dallas area?
I love it.
Yeah?
I do love it. Yeah. I mean, it's great. I love the diversity, and at least as it is becoming more diverse. I love the fact that there's unlimited opportunities. I love the fact that it's growing and prospering. So yeah, I truly do love it. I see a lot of great things happening in the area, and I'm excited about that.
Great. You're also an insurance agent, right? Or you were?
Yeah.
Or?
I am currently working as an insurance representative with a major insurance company. I don't know if I can say the name or not.
Yeah, we
Maybe not.
yeah, we can't. We
That's
can
it.
talk.
We can skip
Yeah.
it. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. And but yeah,
Less important.
Right. So yes, I am in insurance as well.
Okay. Do you feel like there are many similarities between the work that you do with insurance and the work that you do as a pastor?
I do. You know, it's both helping people. It is definitely an area that is customer service related. It requires compassion. It requires patience. It requires having a sense of what's the word I'm looking for? A sense of
Community.
community. Thank you. You're in my head. Definitely having a sense of community and enjoying working with people. And so, again, it's almost like a shoe-in. They both are one and the same.
Yeah.
I can relate. Having a book is kind of like having a congregation.
Right.
And I mean, anytime my clients reach out to me, I'll talk to them.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Right. It's about relationships and
Yeah.
building relationships and enhancing those relationships, through the good and the bad.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's better, on the front end, but then sometimes on the back end it becomes difficult. But that's when the care, the concern has to come in, where we reach out as a loving person and not so much as a salesperson, but one that has compassion for the needs that they're going through.
I would think that Jeff, you coming kind of from the world of finance, and then you from the world of religion and spirituality, like these are a few of the places where we really see some vulnerability in people. We really get to kind of like walk with them, if that's allowed, and wow, to really meet people in those places, like you can really be of great service sometimes.
Yes, without a doubt, without a doubt. That's the thing that I love.
Yeah.
I love working with people. I love interacting with people. I love seeing people enhanced and fulfilled, and so that is definitely a plus for me.
Is that kind of what got you on the road to running for a seat?
Without a doubt.
Okay.
That is exactly it. In fact, as COVID has changed a lot of things for many of us, having a discussion with my wife and family, and I contemplated retirement from ministry, and but I said I'm not going to sit around and do nothing. I need to, figure out what I'm going to do, and so that's when I started considering community service, working in the community, giving back in the community. And I had contemplated previously running for school board, and that didn't pan out like I desired. But this opportunity came about, and I said, this is more in line with what I have done being a justice of the peace. It definitely deals with areas that I've dealt with and deals with more people, I feel. And so I thought this was definitely the way to go.
Great. That must have been an interesting conversation with your wife.
It was.
Retirement or politics?
It definitely was. It definitely was. In fact, I don't think she expected me to take this path. I think that they're still in shock. In fact, my daughter is still definitely in shock, because their goal and their path is always much different than mine. But they're supportive. They're very supportive, and I appreciate that.
I've heard, and I don't want to start anything bad about anything, but I've heard a number of people involved with different churches often loudly complain, in private though, about some of the political influences that they've dealt with. So I imagine it might not be that difficult to translate from one to the other.
Yes.
Sometimes church politics are the least savory part of.
Yeah, I think sometimes church politics can be more difficult than politics, the community politics.
Yes, it's the politics within the politics.
Exactly.
Yeah. How did you, you said you had run before.
I
thought
contemplated.
about it.
Yeah,
okay.
I thought about it. I was reaching out to various people within the party to see and to explore if it was something that I should do. It was somewhat at the last minute, almost as if, almost similar to my filing this time, which was at the last minute, the 9th hour. But I was considering doing it, but decided that it was too late to try to enter in at that time.
I wanted to back up a little bit. Did you at any point get involved? Were you politically active at any point as a pastor or with your church in
down through
Beaumont
the
now?
years? Mm-hmm. Down through the years. I've been involved at Beaumont. I've been involved during my time in Chicago because I pastored 17 years in Chicago as well. And so I've been involved on both sides in Beaumont. I'm actually a Beaumont. I'm a pastor.
You're used to having your speeches, laid out.
I'm a part of the Beaumont Police Department, the clergy pastor, the Beaumont clergy. Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank at this time.
Beaumont Police Clergy.
Yeah, that's it.
Now you're
like a chaplain.
That's it, chaplain.
Well, it's more than one. It's
okay.
It's many of us that are involved, many pastors that are involved, and so it's called clergy policing. Now it's coming to
there you
Beaumont
go.
Clergy
All
Policing,
right.
And so I've been a part of that and love being a part of that. I started a group as well in Beaumont, Texas, Concerned Clergy Group. There were some incidents that were taking place within the community. And so we got together some like-minded pastors, and we started visiting areas, talking with people, dealing with people, praying with people, counseling people, helping people through the various situations that were taking place, which was very positive. And from that, we got involved, many of us got involved with the Beaumont Clergy Policing. I'm also a board member for CASA. I'm a part of clergy in the court system as well, and I've been doing that for some years in that area. And so I've been heavily involved in the community, not just in Beaumont, but even in other areas as well.
Mm-hmm. Beaumont, that's I imagine that's a tough area. Yeah, I mean, just it's not far from my home state, Louisiana, and I've been told stories about some of the clashes that the community's had with police down there or with other groups, let's say.
It's for a small town, a small area. We've had our share of challenges, but thank God they're kind of subsiding a little bit, and the activity and the input that the police and the clergy were able to partner on has definitely made an impact. It's definitely been beneficial.
But it definitely sounds like your role was more inspirational than confrontational.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Our desire, and it came from just conversating with people and talking with people in the community. And one of the things that was said was, where are the religious leaders, where are the pastors? We don't see them. We need to see them. And so we decided that it's time to take the church to where the people are, or go where the need is. And that's where we started going to areas where there was crimes that had been committed, or even in instances where there had been murders. We would go and we'd have prayer in the area. And many times it would just be us when we started, but by the time we concluded, people would start gathering together and joining us, which was definitely a very positive thing for the community and gave comfort to people that were hurting. So we were very proud of that.
Was this something, as you're speaking about it, I'm imagining, and so I wanted to ask, is this something that perhaps created a better sense of the policing efforts, or like, here's how the system goes within the community? If you were able to kind of go in and speak with people, support them, and maybe translate a little bit of like, this is why this is happening, or this is how.
Most definitely. We were there as a voice of reason, a voice of comfort, to see the trusted clergy with the police.
Sure.
Sometimes made a difference.
Sure.
Sometimes people within the community felt better knowing that their religious leaders were involved or connected with the clergy members, or connected with the police officers, made a big difference, or that there was a partnership between the two.
Yeah.
It definitely was comforting, I believe.
It makes me think of last time when we talked about how Jeff, you were saying that you felt that there was a mental health component that's probably missing lately in policing efforts and things like that. And not that you're technically mental health, but it's another part of the human experience. Most definitely.
Most definitely.
A counselor of a sort.
Yeah, exactly.
Without a doubt. And that's a part of the role. In fact, during my time in Chicago, I was a part of a coalition that dealt with mental health.
Oh, wow.
That did some exploratory things, and we were trying to, at that time, connect not only the mental health professionals, those that were in need, but also the religious community, because there are some incidents.
So mind, body, and spirit.
Without
altogether,
a doubt, without a doubt. And there has to be a partnership, because there are some things that prayer can't handle. And I know that people don't want to hear that or believe that, but there's some things that are more medicinal than spiritual, and need to have that other component involved so that a difference is actually made.
Right.
Is that why you're taking up psychology?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
In college right now?
Yes, it is.
Well,
really?
Right. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Right on.
Yes.
Yeah, we were talking that's a kind of.
Oh, I missed that part. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No. I meant before.
I know. I'm just sad I missed it.
Right. So I thought you could speak to that better than I
was
could.
like, that's my wheelhouse.
Right,
it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah. So just saw the need to reach into other areas.
Yeah. Well, that's also part of what I see, in the involvement with CASA is, you're hopefully jumping in at the start with, with kids and families, like prevention rather than,
Right.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Right.
Yeah. I have a friend who's a CASA volunteer. And
really?
Oh, yeah. We have some good conversations about
Awesome.
that. God bless her. Yeah,
Yes. There's a great need there.
Yeah.
Great need.
Yeah.
Need more people involved.
What, in terms of your experience with law enforcement and I guess the court systems in general, or the justice system overall, you've kind of had a bit of a firsthand look at the inner workings of local government. So, what did you take away from that, or what have you taken away from that so far?
Well, I've gained a greater sense of respect for officers and what they do, for the legal system and how it works. But also, I'm sensitive to a large degree the pain that people are feeling on the other side.
Right.
There's a disconnect between the community and police officers, and that was one of the main reasons why I wanted to get involved, even to the dismay of many, because for whatever reason, there's some who would prefer the division than unity. But I think that there needs to be some collaborative efforts and some coming together so that we can partner in making a difference within our communities. If we're not uniting as one, then it's only going to create more and more problems as time goes on.
Yeah, I mean, it's a relationship that sometimes it feels unilateral and that we're talking past one another.
Right.
And that, there's really only two sides, but
Right.
that rarely meet. But I agree with you. I think it's going to take a collaborative effort if we're
Right.
going to get any kind of anything meaningful done
Right.
as far as repairing the.
Yeah, and I think we need to understand both sides. The community needs to understand the police and the job that they have to undertake, and as well, the police should understand the community and have some sympathy and empathy toward the things that are happening in our society right now.
I think it would be fair to say that the African American community has had a different relationship with law enforcement,
Without a doubt.
and I was wondering, how do you and I guess that it almost compels people like yourself to get involved, even though you come from a spiritual place, because there's some disagreement about whether or not church leaders should be involved in politics, because we founded a secular government, right?
Right.
There's a clear line between church and state,
Right.
But how do you feel about the nature of that relationship? Do you feel like there's a role there, and how can the two coexist?
Well, I think that my background and my experience definitely speak volumes into the role that I'm seeking. Learning compassion, learning how to deal with people, learning how to reach across the board in so many areas, and dealing with people from various backgrounds is definitely going to be to my advantage in the role that I'm seeking. I think that there is a difference between pastoring and the position. I don't approach the position as a pastor, but I will approach it as a justice of the peace.
Right.
I don't hide the fact that I've had experience pastoring, but I understand that the role is different. I understand that whereas there's a spiritual side to my ministry, and there's a legal side to the justice of the peace role, and that there's a separation. However, I can't leave behind the fact that I am a lifelong Christian, and I do hold on to that, and I intend on holding on to that. And I think that is the thing that will aid me and assist me in having the compassion that is needed of making a difference within the community and reaching people where they are in order to bring them to where they need to be.
Well, I think that's a good segue into why you decided that this role as Justice of the Peace would fit your particular skill set.
Well, I think first and foremost, it's time for a change. I think it's definitely time for a change. I think that we need people at the table that have a heart for mankind. We need people at the table that have a connection with the community, that understands where people are hurting and is able to make a difference where they are. Today, I think there's a great disconnect right now with many of the leaders that are leading within the community. There are a lot of people that are in office at this time that don't have a heart for everyone, don't have love for everyone, don't have compassion for everyone. And so I think that there's a need to, and we have a wonderful slate coming up this election, an awesome group of people from various walks of life. And I think that that's what community is all about. Community cannot be one-sided, is not one-sided, and leadership should not be one-sided. I think that there needs to be some diversity. I think that there needs to be people from various walks of life, from various backgrounds, from various persuasions involved. And I think that way everyone is represented, and we take a whole different look at the problems that are facing us. And I think that we can come up with different solutions that way. So that's the reason that I've become involved. Seeing some of the things that have taken place in politics recently, seeing some of the things that have happened on the national level and even to a certain degree on local levels, it's time for good people to get involved. It's time for a change. And that's the reason why I have stepped forward for the role of Justice of the Peace, because I think that Irvin Barrett can make a difference. I think I have what it takes.
I love it. One of the things that I've been thinking about this whole time is how rather unfairly a lot of times the Democratic Party gets characterized as non-religious.
Yes.
Or almost like atheistic,
Yes.
like, and simply because we're for freedom of religion, right?
Yes.
And so, yeah, I think it's a bad rap. But to your point, like I think that having people, in vital roles that understand that each person that they deal with is a vibrant, multidimensional person, rather than just a name on a sheet or a number, even in their voting district.
Right.
Yeah, that's where we need to be.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. I think there's that it's time for it.
And we've talked about, you and I and Sean and I have talked about how, particularly in Collin County, it seems like the government is completely partisan.
Yeah.
And I've been to, commissioner court meetings, and it doesn't feel like they want to talk to anybody who comes in there. They have their favorites,
Right.
know, and I just, that really turned me off. I've always felt like service is a noble calling,
Right.
and that we can't, especially in politics where you have to work with people that you don't agree with. It doesn't, it's kind of like being Secretary of State. It's a big world out there. We have all kinds of different actors, and we're doing the best we can.
Right.
We can't always take the hard line. That there has to be something has to give.
Exactly. And to not have any preconceived ideas and notions about a person just as they walk in. And I think that having the right people at the table will help to make a difference with that.
Talk about how specifically the pandemic has affected your ministry and how you think it'll affect your role going in government.
Well, ministry definitely has changed as a result of the pandemic. We were out of church, as many churches were out for over, I think we were out for about 9 months, if I'm not mistaken.
Was it that long?
I believe so. And there are some churches that are still out.
Yeah.
And some have gone back into active worship, but now they have gone back out again as the numbers are rising. And so it caused us to look at church differently, which was a wonderful thing. It caused us to make some changes with ministry and how we approached ministry. We had to go online and worship online, where many churches had never done it before. Many groups had never did not have an online presence, and so it caused them to do that, which was a good thing. So I think now the message of Christ is being dispersed in a broader way, whereas it wasn't being dispersed like that previously. And so ultimately it caused us to look at ministry differently. And I think that the same thing needs to happen with many of our roles. The role of Justice of the Peace, it needs to be looked at differently, how we can reach people where they are today, not how they were 20, 30, 40 years ago. And we need to reach people in a manner that is conducive to schedules. Courts primarily meet 9 to 4, Monday through Friday, where most people are working during that time and can't get into the court system. And so it makes it difficult for them. So we're exploring and looking at making it more convenient for people, whether it be evening court, whether it be Saturday court hours or something of that sort. Zoom meetings where we can connect with people through Zoom to make it, again, more advantageous for how we live today, seeing that the pandemic is still an issue and we don't know how much longer it will be. But we need to reach people where they are in all facets of life. And so that's how we're looking to approach that to make it more accessible.
We've talked about how the pandemic was almost a blessing in disguise because it forced corporations to finally examine, okay, is this doable?
Right.
The remote work thing.
Right.
Because I think for a long time they had been wondering if this was something that they could actually execute. And this was a perfect opportunity for a trial run.
Right.
But I was wondering, because of that, have you seen like a difference between the generations? Are some people being left behind because of that transition, or?
Well, initially, yes, but it kind of forced people to get in the game. It kind of forced people to find an avenue and to seek out ways. Everyone had to leave their comfort zones. It wasn't something that you can say, okay, well, they can do it, but I'm not going to do it. Everyone had to join in.
If this had just been a jump in technology, like,
Right.
oh, we've just decided now to start doing church services via Zoom.
Right.
A lot of people probably would have passed on
Right.
that. But add in there the threat of death, unfortunately.
Right.
Like, don't leave your home.
Mortality, yeah.
It's going to kind of push you and way more isolation
Exactly.
than any other time in our entire history.
Exactly.
Basically. Yeah. It's a particular problem that I've really felt for with the churches, because the churches are basically like, the ER for people.
Right.
Like, you walk in wounded a lot
Right.
of times, and so the people who really need to be there really need to be there.
Right.
And, so to have to sacrifice that in terms of your health, like, oof. But that the same could be said also for the court system. Like, nobody's walking in 100% great and fine to the
Right.
court system. You need some help. You need some healing. You need something
Exactly.
resolved. Yeah. Even if it's just like closure
Right.
with something
Right.
from a legal case.
Right.
Yeah.
You're definitely coming because there's a need.
Yeah, it was. I feel like it was different for corporations, and not to disagree with anything that you've said or that we've talked about, but
We can disagree. That's allowed.
and we do, and that's fine. No, but corporations, I think, had to basically come to this place of letting the ego go, because a lot of the in-house stuff that they kept for years that really wasn't working, that people could have done working from home, they had to let go of that idea of, but can I walk around and see your productivity?
Right.
Can I be there and micromanage you? Do I know you're actually doing what you're doing when you're logged in? So they had to let go of that and just embrace the metrics.
There was an element of trust that was added there.
Exactly.
Right.
But look what they got back, tenfold. You get to retain your best people. They're happier. Like, expenses are like I think it's a good shift. I think it's one, though, that even if we go back, we're not going to completely go back, but let's say services start completely fine. Even court proceedings start completely fine. Having that option now built in
Exactly.
would prevent a lot of missed court dates. A lot of, like, I do my doctor's appointments now from my phone.
I've done the same thing.
I'm walking around in my bathrobe like, yep, I'm fine. That's
Yeah.
like, it's great. I don't have to sit in the waiting room or take off from work, as you were
Right.
saying.
Right.
So to me, it improves the overall rates of, like, compliance, follow through, get it done. Da, da, da.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially in the world where we're so used to having so much access at our fingertips. And then there's so many things that are antiquated that we have to do the old way that should be done differently. So I think that it's definitely a win-win.
Yeah.
There's still that battle.
Forced win-win.
Yes.
Yeah, there's still that battle between analog and digital. I mean,
Yeah.
I think my parents probably did a Zoom call before they actually got smartphones. So
Yeah, I'm sure.
that's what I was talking about, a generation. Maybe there's
Yeah.
a generational gap there, but
Yeah.
they seem to be, like you said, just kind of forced to embrace it. you know?
Yeah.
Well,
so that we're not left behind.
Absolutely, but the part of the problem is that in the last, I don't know, decade, the rate of acceleration has been just exponential. It's not like from, like, I remember as a kid using a brick phone for the first time, right? And then now we all have a smart computer in our hands. Like, that rate of acceleration is nothing we've ever seen before. Like, my grandmother just didn't have a TV.
Yeah.
Like,
really?
right? You know what I mean? Like, when she was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
to
Okay.
say, like, then when I was a kid and I said, well, did you miss TV as a kid? And she goes, I didn't have it to miss.
Didn't know to miss.
But that's not the same as
Right.
this blooming giant, like, it's a lot.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it's strange because, as things unfolded and things happened so quickly, I remember having a conversation with some of our church officials, and we were saying, I said, let's give it a couple of weeks. A couple of weeks, this should blow over and everything should be back to normal.
Oh, that optimism, that naivete. Can we go back?
Exactly. And it's like we were forced to make some immediate decisions.
Yeah.
When it didn't, 2 weeks later, and we're like, okay, this is taking a turn for the worse.
I might not have been right about
Yeah,
this.
yeah. So we need to do some other things, and so we were forced. We were catapulted into it, and we had to respond.
Yep.
And I think that even in our system and in our society, there's some demands that are being made that we're not responding to that we need to step forward and respond to. Make it easier for people. Make it easier.
Yeah. So that's what I want to know about. Like, okay, so you have your main campaign points.
Yes.
So let's talk about those, like how you kind of envision those 3 major points.
Sure. First and foremost, education. A large component to the justice of the peace role, it deals with education and truancy. I believe that truancy that we need to get to the root of the problem. I believe that the issue with truancy needs to be addressed before it becomes an issue. I think we need to find out what is happening in the child's life, happening in the home, happening in the school system. So we want to try to bridge the gap. We want to meet with teachers, talk with school officials, principals, what have you, to see how we can put in place some preventative measures to keep children out of the system. One of the worst things that we can do is get a child in the system. And if we can prevent that from happening, I think that we can build better community and definitely build a better system for the children to be educated. Right. So if we can address some of those issues head on first, I believe that we can eliminate problems down the road. And so we want to try to do that. We want to try to get involved, find out how we can eliminate some of the issues before they become issues, even prior to coming into the system, even prior to them coming into the system, we want to try to make a difference. If we can eliminate it and find out what the issues are, partner with various people, I think that it would be a win-win for everyone.
I think so.
And particularly now, I mean, one of the things that I'm raising the alarm bell for is the fact that healthcare and our public schools are being crushed under the weight of the pandemic because teachers are getting sick, students are getting sick, or teachers have just had it.
Right.
They're leaving in droves. But just getting bus drivers and substitutes. We saw a sign the other day. They're offering to pay bus drivers like $21 an hour now or something like that. I mean, that's kind of what we've been forced into, and truancy is a direct ripple effect from all of that.
Exactly. So if we can address that and deal with it head on, I think that we can definitely make a difference.
I know that you were asking earlier about effects of the pandemic, and we've talked a little bit about this before, but I know for a fact that rates of domestic violence have gone up with everyone being clustered together in the home. And I know in particular for children, rates of, child abuse have skyrocketed. For a lot of kids, school is the only place where they have a safe zone. They go to school to escape home quite often, but it can still be difficult to stay there. It can still be difficult to be seen there, to be heard there, and for it to be a place of refuge. And then even if that is, even rarer, do educators feel as though they can intervene in a home life situation if need be, things like that. And it gets even more difficult if the kids are truant. If they're not there, I can't see them, I can't help them.
Right.
So big need. Probably, I would think a lot of maybe like early intervention to make sure that we don't end up in a truant situation.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I guess that's where my role as a pastor comes in, because many times I would visit schools. I've dealt with children that were considered problem children. To help to get them on the right path, dealing with those that were having challenges in learning or what have you, intervening, talking with teachers, talking with parents, trying to make a difference. And so I do believe that intervention makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Do you have scenarios where you've had a troubled kid that you were able to put on the straight and narrow and actually has blossomed?
Yeah, I have many. I mean, in fact, it is to see over the years where they have gone, what they have done, how they have blossomed, as you used the term, or matured, is a wonderful thing. I've got a young man who has gone to the Army, has been very successful doing that. In fact, 2 that come to mind have had a great stint. In fact, one has decided that is a role that he wants to pursue as a career. Had a very troubled childhood, very troubled past, but made some good decisions, some good choices, and he's on the right path now, doing excellent in his role.
As a fellow candidate, I can tell you those stories help.
Yeah,
make it personal.
Yes, for sure.
That's why I wanted to hear them myself.
Yes, sir, most definitely.
That's the
definitely.
why that keeps you going,
right?
It truly is.
Yeah.
It truly is, to be able to look back and say, hey, it worked, it made a difference, and to have that proven track record goes a long way. So I'm really thankful for that. There was a young lady who had gotten pregnant at a young age, and in fact, I had talked and told the story about how she was encouraged not to have the child by many people that were around her, and was really kind of distraught. We talked with her and counseled with her and helped her through the process, made some decisions that were positive for her. And she's living a very productive life now with the child. Child is doing excellent. Both are doing well. And so, again, I think that we can help to make a difference in the lives of people if we get them at the right time.
That's the difference between support and non-support.
Right.
Because any young person can find themselves kind of in that position.
Exactly.
But then when you have the right support versus when you don't, that makes the
Exactly.
difference on the path there. Speaking again from the mental health side, I know that rates of learning disabilities, spectrum disorders, things like that, all chronically underdiagnosed in Black and populations of color,
Yes.
as well as mental health diagnoses like PTSD diagnosis. If you have a Black teenager that's acting out because of trauma in the home or in the community, they're not going to necessarily diagnose it as
Right.
PTSD and step in to help.
Right.
They're going to diagnose that as oppositional defiant disorder, and out you go.
Right. Right. And that's what tends to happen.
Yeah, right.
That's what tends to happen.
But again, when you have experience understanding people in their setting, understanding the struggles of people,
Right.
you can see how one certain behavior, that's not a manifestation of A, it's a manifestation of B.
Exactly.
Because I see the whole person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I know where they're coming from. I know what they've gone through. I understand the scenarios that they're dealing with. And in seeing that and understanding that, it helps to diagnose what they're dealing with all the more.
I think if I'm picking up on what you're saying correctly, basically we should, and I agree with this, that we shouldn't act as though empathy and compassion stop at the courthouse steps.
Exactly. I think that, again, I want the role to be a community role. I'm not just trying to be a justice of the peace that sits on the bench. I want to be the justice of the peace that goes out and makes a difference in the community, makes a difference in the society, to help make good citizens of Collin County, and not people that are in the system of Collin County or in the judicial system, but to make good residents, people that we can feel comfortable living next to, people that we can feel comfortable seeing in the store, people that we can feel comfortable knowing that they're there, but they're not going to be a problem or an issue.
I've always thought, and I think that this is where some people get disappointed sometimes with the judicial system, is it really should be geared more towards bringing someone back into alignment with the community rather than, taking them completely out.
Right.
Which when you spoke earlier about keeping young kids out of the system, I'm like, yeah, because it's a downward spiral from there. It just makes
Exactly.
everything harder.
Exactly.
Even if just by virtue of the fact that that child now has a bad idea of cops and the judicial system and blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
And thinks and begins to think that no one cares.
Yeah.
That no one is there to help make a difference. And
Right.
so everyone becomes an enemy at that point.
Yeah.
Everyone in the system. And so we want to change that. We want to help to make a difference. And I think that if we change that, then we can produce those that are educated well, those that can be productive in society, those that can be good students and as well get good careers, great jobs, and have wonderful futures. So we're building for the future, building community for the future.
Is that your slogan?
No, it should be.
It sure sounds like it.
Put that in a hopper,
like,
yeah.
Whew, that came out too smooth. I was like, all right, that's a good one. Okay, so how does that lead into then the second pillar of accessibility?
Accessibility, and I think that there are many of them are interchangeable and intertwined.
Sure.
Because again, I don't want to.
Well, that just makes it a good platform.
Yeah, exactly. The system, the court, needs to be accessible to all people from all walks of life, not just those who feel that they're privileged or those who are entitled, but all who are in need. And that's what we want to make sure that we allow the court system, the justice of the peace system, to be a system that is available and accessible for all, not just the elite, but all citizens, all who need to come in, can come in feeling comfortable, knowing that we're there for them and we're looking out for all mankind.
Gotcha. So that goes maybe back to what you were saying earlier about having, Zoom sessions or
Exactly.
Saturday court or
Exactly.
something like that.
Exactly. Making it accessible for people, making it more convenient, especially for those that, and so, most people now are struggling financially. And so to have to take off of work to deal with issues or problems will only snowball into greater issues.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're putting a dent in that paycheck.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so we're going to try to make a difference so that they don't have to do that.
Sure. I like that. Are there any other accessibility issues, do you think, in terms of like individual disabilities or mental health issues?
Most definitely. That is definitely a great question and a great area as well. We want to try to make sure that we are there to help those that may be suffering from disabilities, those who are disabled, making the system, again, more accessible for all, not some, but making it convenient and accessible for all, no matter what their walk of life might be.
Yeah.
I think, and you'll probably agree, probably the least represented segment of our population are children and people who are disabled, and their caretakers as well.
Without a doubt.
We tend to ignore those people entirely, and it's baffling.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of children out there whose only caretakers are disabled.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Whether-
Sometimes it's both.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we need to cater to them and not disregard them. We need to make it more accessible for them because of those things.
Yeah. I've seen a couple cases where the child in the legal proceedings was appointed a guardian ad litem. And that was an amazing, when I realized that was possible, I was like, wow, that's really, I'm speaking specifically of like a custody situation where custody was up in the air due to domestic violence allegations. And so the child is appointed an actual.
Yeah, the court appoints a guardian.
Yeah. To make sure that the procedure,
Yeah.
to speak up literally for the child and no one else in that situation. I was like, oh, I like it.
Yeah.
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 And that's what CASA does, right? They basically
Exactly.
they're an option outside of
Right.
allowing or giving the court the power to do that. They can step in and
Exactly.
and represent the interests of the child.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
It just seems it doesn't matter what issue we bring up. It always seems like the bad parts fall on the backs of children. I mean, it's I don't know how a community can grow if you
And
don't.
that's why I think that there has to be people in place during this current election that care, that have a heart for people, that love people, and want to make a difference in society. I think that that's going to make all the difference in the world moving forward, not to have heartless people, but to have people that have a heart of love and compassion for mankind.
Unfortunately, in terms of that of society, I mean, it's only been in the last, 100 years or so that we've really started seeing children as people.
Right.
I mean,
once upon a
child
time,
labor
yeah.
laws are still new. Like, I'm just saying.
They were part of the workforce at one point.
Right. Let's go read some old Charles Dickens novels. Like, it's bleak back then. That's all I'm saying. So yes,
Yeah, Upton
advocating
Sinclair,
moving in those positive directions. It's still lights coming on for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Well, when you're talking about it, it seems like the justice of the peace role seems more like that of a principal than a disciplinarian. I mean, a principal can be a disciplinarian,
Yeah.
but he or she doesn't have to.
Right.
It's
right.
Yeah.
And I think again that it is a role that has to have the community at heart. And it has to be a person that loves and that has a proven track record of service in order to make a difference. And I think that looking at my history, looking at my background, it just comes together. It just makes sense. I think that it is the ideal thing for a person with my experience to do. Based upon the fact that I've had so much experience dealing with people on various levels from various walks of life, having to show love and compassion, even when it may not have been the easiest thing to do, but it was the necessary thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And learning that art and that skill, I think, and bringing that to the table, I think is going to make a great difference.
That was a great analogy about, as a principal.
Thank you.
I like that one. Well, because I think, over the principles that I've, known throughout my educational years, it's like The really great ones, like, oh, yes, you might break the rules and you get a punishment. Like that old saying goes, no one can free you from the consequences of your
Right.
choices, right? However, then the good ones would check in. How are you doing? Are you still doing that bad thing? Are you doing good things now?
Right.
And be seen, be kind of like present
Right.
in
And
your
you-
life then afterwards.
And you do it from a position of authority.
Right.
That's why I thought
Yeah.
principal, because she's at the top.
but not just
pyramid, right.
not just punitive.
Right,
though.
right,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. And that's what we hope to do. We hope to make a difference, and to again be that connection between the community and the officials to make sure that people are able to have that person or that access that will help to make a difference.
So then your third campaign pillar about environment.
Yes.
Tell me.
Yes. I'm big on the environment. I believe that every leader, every elected official, every leader in the community should be concerned about the community. And I think that if we're not concerned about the environment, especially the environment in which we live, that we're erring in our ways. We're making an error. We're not focusing properly on what needs to be. And I think that there are some areas that we need to focus on. It's not so much political, but it's just a matter of what is right for our society, what is right for the environment, and making sure that we have a system that is clean water, clean air, making sure that our neighborhoods are clean and preserved, makes all the difference in the world. I think that it will allow us to have a greater sense of community. And so I'm very concerned about preserving what we have so that we leave something in place for the generations that are to come.
Again, something that falls on the backs of children if we ignore it. Right? I mean,
Exactly.
I hate to keep
Someone
coming
will
back
clean
to
it
that,
up
but
later.
it's the truth.
Right.
Yeah.
Our kids.
Right.
Good luck.
Passing off our dirt, our wrongs, our things onto them, and it's something that they have to deal with. And I think even now we're seeing that in our world to a certain degree, that there's some things that have been passed down that now have to be dealt with that should have been dealt with years ago.
The first thing that comes to mind for me is how I can see certain politicians, I'm not going to say who, but making choices that service corporations more than anything else, who
Right.
serve wherever their investments are
Right.
or who's funding them. And a lot of times that does come at the expense of the environment,
Without a doubt.
unfortunately.
Without a doubt. And following the dollar as opposed to investing in lives.
Right.
And again, that creates a snowball effect that ultimately ends up affecting the lives of people within the community. We want to see that stop. We want to see a difference made there.
Yeah.
Another area that our campaign deals with, that the JP3 Justice of the Peace deals with, is issues with tenant and landlord relationships. And I want to talk about that for just a moment, which is another area that is not always a comfortable area, not always an easy area to deal with. But we want to try to level the playing field for those that are coming in so that when they do come in, they feel comfortable. We want to understand what the landlord is dealing with, but we also want to understand what the tenant is facing and try to seek out solutions and answers that will benefit both without harming either in any type of way. And so we're hoping that, again, in our role, that we could make a difference with those that are coming in to feel comfortable, to feel that the playing field is leveled and that they can come in feeling and knowing that we're not going to be one-sided, that we're not going to just think that just because a person of power comes in or influence comes in that they're automatically right. We're going to try to hear everyone and listen to what is happening and make the best possible decision and choice for what is right in that situation.
I think, to go back to one of the things Jeff was asking about earlier, that area specifically is probably impacted very greatly by the pandemic.
Yes.
Because, and just the changes that have come with the pandemic in our economy, because now what we're seeing people having a much harder time getting into home ownership.
Yes.
And we see trusts and corporations buying up buying up properties, period, and turning them into rental properties. So we have a lot more people who are renting on any level, whether it's an apartment or a home, than ever before. So
Right.
yeah, there's a lot more of that.
And a lot of people have been out of work. A lot
Yeah.
of people are their incomes have been impacted as a result of the virus, and so because of that, there are a lot more people that are being evicted or being brought into the court because of that, and many of them feel walking in that they're already at a disadvantage.
There was a moratorium on that for a while, and then like the first day of the first month after the moratorium passed, I went to my apartment complex and I was driving through. I saw all these notes on all the doors, and I saw all these moving trucks, and I was like,
It was a cliff.
yeah, it was.
Yeah.
A lot of people got pushed off the cliff,
Right.
for sure. Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
And that's part of the judicial system that your particular position would oversee, or
Yes.
mediate those cases, correct?
Exactly. The JP3 deals with cases, not only truancy, landlord, tenant issues, any type of legal battles that are, I believe, under $20,000 will come through the Justice of the Peace system.
Right, small claims
Small
court.
claims.
Yeah.
That's right.
One academic issue I wanted to clear up was a lot of people aren't necessarily aware of how their local government works. And when they see Justice of the Peace and when they see county judge, they automatically think that we had to go to law school. And
Right.
But that's
Right.
not the case.
That's not the case.
You basically have to be over 18 and an upstanding citizen, and you can
Yes.
run for
You can run for Justice of the Peace.
yeah.
Yes.
Like,
So and I appreciate you pointing that out. I don't have a law degree. I don't have to have a law degree. Thank God.
right.
But it is based, I believe, on experience and knowledge and what a person's background is. I think that makes a big difference.
But like I was saying earlier about being in a position of authority, I think people just want to see that you can be in that position, but also handle it in a way that's more positive than
Right.
punitive.
Right. Without a doubt.
Well, this is going to sound a little brown nosy because we just met, but but having been a senior pastor of a large church, like if there's any other thing that qualifies you for herding cats more, I have no idea what it would be. Like that's you're trying to keep all these, that's a lot of plates to spin, my friend. Like that.
It truly is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I was thinking, because this is the parochial schoolboy in me, maybe headmaster would be a better description than principal, because of
don't know.
the spiritual
I
background.
don't know.
No? Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds a lot more stern to
Exactly.
me. Like, I don't
That's
know
the
if I
first
like
thing I
that
thought
one.
about.
No, it wasn't in
Battling at
my
that
experience.
I think I have a lot of bad associations with that one, maybe.
Yeah. Oh well, to each his own, I guess.
All right, so we're running up on the hour. Is there anything that you'd like to get to before or you'd like to say?
Do you have is there a position, an issue that you are singularly focused on? What's
that you
really,
haven't heard anybody else talk about?
and is really important?
Yeah.
Meaning in the race itself?
Yeah. As far as the campaign.
Well, I think the most important thing is service, and I think that it cannot be expressed enough. We need to have candidates that have community at heart, that's a part of the community, and have a proven track record over the years. Not someone who has stepped up and is a 90-day wonder, but someone that has been involved. I'm not an old man, but I'm getting older every day, and I've been involved for a long time, and I think that proven track record makes all the difference in the world.
See, when you mentioned environment earlier, I thought that's what you were referring to, like the atmosphere of the court. And in my case, I that's one of the things I would like to change is the atmosphere of the commissioner's court. The public meetings in particular.
Yeah.
Because that can spread into everything else.
Exactly, most definitely, and I think that again that will be a part of our mission through accessibility, is just making it leveling the playing field so that everyone feels a part, everyone feels welcome, everyone feels included, regardless of what their social or economic status is coming in.
He seems very nice, but I have no reservations about if he had somebody in his courtroom that was acting a fool, that would be, whether it was an attorney or a defendant or whether they'd be like, we're not going to do that here. That's not how we're going to conduct ourselves here.
Right.
We're all going to be adults and respect each other, and you're not pulling that in my courtroom.
Right. Lock it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, I think that goes back to the church thing. Like, you have to have everybody, like, this is the tone we're going to have. We're going to have mutual respect for everybody. Like,
Without a doubt.
you can't have that, people acting that way.
Without a doubt. You got to maintain order.
Oh, okay. Love it. Well, this has been great.
I hope I'm not scaring you all.
No.
Oh, what do you mean?
From what? No.
Well, I don't have any designs to be in the court, in front of you, sir. So, so you don't have to worry about that.
I almost wish I could at this point.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
It would be very pleasant, I guarantee you.
I was going to say, I don't think I would be squeamish at all if I knew he was going to be my judge. I'd be like, okay, this is probably going to go well. So,
Yeah.
Well, I think that's
exactly.
something that we do a poor job of advertising is how the government works. How once a resident gets involved, what is the process? It's like we'll take healthcare for example. If you don't have an employer that can provide healthcare for you, then you're either going to try and get Medicare, Medicaid, or use the healthcare exchanges.
Right.
But someone still might need to point you to where you need to go.
Right.
Just putting it on the internet isn't enough.
well,
Right.
there was just a Senate bill that was proposed or voted, I forget, about the veterans healthcare system. And several Republican senators voted against automatically enrolling veterans upon discharge from the service in the healthcare administration. So for some reason, they voted in favor of making someone apply to the system, go through the process, jump through the hoops, instead of it just being there. But again, that's the most people don't really understand that you would have to do a separate enrollment situation after you get out. They think that that's just there. That's just part of my benefit package. No, there's a whole thing you got to do.
Yeah.
But and just even something as small as that greatly impacts accessibility.
And even and even with the justice of the peace, a lot of people don't realize you don't have to have an attorney. You don't have to pay an attorney. You can represent yourself. You can come in and stake your claim, bring in your evidence, and you don't have to be represented by an attorney. You can do it pro se. You can represent yourself, and you don't have to have any legal representation for your case to be heard.
But that goes to what I'm saying is not people don't necessarily know that.
They don't know that. They don't know
it's
that.
Kind of it's kind of like with my clients whenever I talk to them and they have to speak to an insurance company or an investment firm or something like that. I'm like, let me get on the phone with you because those people speak a different language.
Right.
And it's a maze that we got to go through together.
Right.
And that's one of the things that we're going to be doing over the course of the election is educating people on what the Justice of the Peace actually does, what the role is, what the citizens can expect, and we'll be doing videos, and as well as we go various places, we'll be talking about it just so that people understand.
Yeah.
Because most of the time, when you talk about a Justice of the Peace, people only think that's the guy who can marry me.
Yeah.
Outside of that,
You just signed that thing.
yeah, outside of that, they don't understand what the role is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just the wedding official. That's all you
that's
do.
all.
Yeah.
That's all.
When in
But,
reality,
many
it's
other
more
things.
like the People's Court, and he's Judge Wapner.
Right.
That's a good example. I'll take that. I like Judge Walton.
Yeah.
The good old days.
Yeah, how about it?
People still watch that stuff. I'm telling
Or
you.
Judge Judy.
Yeah, Judge Judy.
Yeah.
Judge Brown. Yeah.
Judge Brown, yeah. There
Joe
you go.
Brown.
I like him.
He was tough though.
Yeah.
He was, but and Judy was tough too. She'll tell you
Yeah.
exactly how dumb you are. But
Yeah.
but that's information going forward.
Exactly.
Here's why you
Exactly.
can't do that.
Yeah, but Mr. Irvin's not going to make her money. So
That's
No.
true. That's true.
No, not by far.
I don't think this is something you get into for the money. I think
Not at all.
the Hollywood system is not this really.
yeah.
Right. Totally different.
That's good. All right. Are we forgetting anything?
No, I think we got it.
Covered a lot.
Yeah, I hope.
I hope so.
I told you this would go by fast.
It did go by fast. This has been fun. Thank
Good.
you all.
Yeah, I hope we made it a positive experience for you.
Yes.
So
Yes. I was very nervous though.
yeah. Well, that's even still. I think we both do.
Yeah. I don't know if it's nervous or excited. I get excited.
Anxious.
Like
Anxious.
I'm ready to
Yeah.
jump in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I got all this to say, but I don't know what order I'm going to say it, and am I going
Right.
to remember
How
it?
it's gonna come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes you don't. It's okay.
Exactly.
Well, thanks everybody for joining us for another episode of Collin Votes. If you would like to learn more about the Reverend Irvin Barrett, you can go to his Facebook page, right? You're on?
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
On Facebook.
You could also reach out by email. That's ilb4jp3@gmail.com. You can also go to the collincountytexas.gov website and read about, right?
Yes.
Yep, absolutely. Fantastic about your the seat you're running for with Precinct 3,
Yes,
right?
that's correct.
Okay.
And you're going to have a website soon.
Website will be up by the end of the week. We also have Instagram currently.
What's the Instagram?
Instagram is
At Irvin Barrett or?
at you just stumped me on that one.
Sorry.
Well, you're running unopposed in the primary, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
unopposed
So
in the primary.
So the campaign's
Okay.
handling those details. Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard
All
you.
right.
I
That
think it's
works.
Reverend Irvin Barrett.
Okay.
I think
You know what? It'll get you there.
it will.
I bet if you just right now go to Google and just write Reverend Irvin Barrett. Oh, and it's Barrett.
Yes.
Just in case I was pronouncing it terribly.
No, you did well.
Sometimes
you did very well.
T's and D's
No,
sound the same
you
thing.
did very well.
All right. And as always, my co-host, Jeff Williams, running for Collin County Commissioner in Precinct 4.
That's right.
Good luck with everything. And I've been your host, Shauna Monahan, licensed professional counselor. All right. Great job, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks
We'll
so much.
We'll see you next time. We'll have some more candidates on in the coming days.
Fantastic.
Looking forward to it.